Welcome back to West Texas View.
Welcome back to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and Jenna Davis has changed professions. She went from an X-ray technologist to a home health care provider after 45 years as an X-ray technologist, and so she is really having fun in this job. And I love the fact that the way you say is I bonded with my patients. But I want you to talk about if I felt like I needed, or I had a loved one that needed a home health care, is it me that contacts the home health care provider, or is it the doctors that refer?
Both.
Both. Okay.
We are so pleased and so fortunate that the doctors are recommending and referring us more and more. That helps, of course, in our service. But if you needed someone, then you would call our company, and they would send
a company, and it might be
Yes.
2 or 3 companies.
Yes, yes. And they send a person out who specifically asks you questions so that they can make that
Match.
fit. Yes, yes.
And so then, say that I didn't know anything about this, and I didn't know what company was reputable, what was the highest quality or anything. So I've narrowed it down to 1 or 2. So both companies might send somebody out, visit, and then I'd make a choice.
Yes.
So then I get you into my house. You're taking care of my husband or my child or whoever it is. And what do I need to watch for?
Well, now first, when they assign me to you, I call you and set up a time that it's convenient for me to come by and just meet you, and it just takes about 10 or 15 minutes. Of course, sometimes it takes longer because we get into conversation and we have a wonderful visit. But I just want you to feel comfortable with me.
Before you start.
Yes, because wonderful thing about this company and many others is that if you should not be pleased for some reason, you can call in and say, I need another person.
It's not going to work.
Right. And I can do the same. And neither of us is going to get our feelings hurt.
For example, if you said you were sent to a home and it was a smoker's home, and you did not, you could not be around cigarette smoke,
Right.
then you could call them at your own company and say, I can't do this.
Yes.
Or they had dogs and cats and you were allergic to dog and cat hair or something like
Yes.
that. And so that's a really important thing. It's a two-way street, either
Yes.
one, because both the company and the patient needs to know that there's a good fit. So then you've done this, you've gone your little preliminary quick visit, met them, and you've both agreed that this is a good fit. Then what happens?
Well, let me emphasize that the person that answers the phone for the company has a lot of empathy, and she can really
Dig out
get
information
from you what you need. So don't ever be afraid to call in and give feedback, because that's the only way that we can make sure that you have everything you need. And about that other question,
And so then, once you have had that fit, I've called in,
Yes.
I've got the information, they've assigned you, you've been out to your preliminary, and then what do I watch for, or what do I need to know about having a home health care provider in my home?
it's a feeling a lot of times. Also, the cleanliness of the person, even what they drive sometimes is important if they're going to be transporting you, because we can use your vehicle or we can use our own. We are bonded. And that's something that's real important with a healthcare provider. You want to make sure that that company bonds their people, because you don't know what's coming down the line.
Okay, well, so in this area where it's very sparsely populated in certain parts of the Permian Basin, and there's certainly not a home health care company in every little town, but so if I lived in Sanderson or Alpine or somewhere and there was not a home health care, do I call Midland or do I just go down the street and hire somebody? Well, if I'm hearing you correctly, the difference between just going down the street and hiring a neighbor to come in and take care of grandmother, you're not getting a bonded person. You're not getting one who's had a background check. You're not getting one that's had drug checks and those kinds of things.
That's true. And also our company does drop-in spot checks also.
Okay.
So you're not always alone with that person.
One of the things that is hard for me to understand is elder abuse, but I know it happens. And so that's really, really important, and particularly if the patient has no relatives real close by, so
Right.
they only come in on the weekends or something. It leaves a lot of room for people that might be inclined to abuse someone or to get frustrated easily with that. So that spot checking is really important,
Yes.
but the bonding and all the other background checks are really
Yes.
important too. Then if I decided that you were not a good fit, or you were using language that I didn't want used around my patient, then I could still call in after you'd worked 4 or 5 days,
You
or
bet.
4 or 5
or,
weeks,
or months even. Yes, you can call, and they would probably give me a different assignment and bring someone new to you, and I might never know, or they might have me come into the office and have a little visit, critique my care, and correct
your
the situation.
language
yes.
or something.
Yes. Ooh. Yes.
And so then, if all of this went on, and it was just the opposite, they loved you, and they didn't want you to just come in spottedly. They wanted you to come in for big blocks of time, like the 24/7. And you said, I can't do that.
Well, I think I think it would change. I think as we grew together, we bonded. I would certainly be willing to take on more time with the client.
So it just, what you're saying is it just varies between caregiver and all the time.
It does. It's that perfect fit they talk about, and it's an excellent experience for both sides.
And the interesting thing about this profession, since it's in the scheme of things, it's a fairly new thing on the medical scene, and so it's mushrooming in needs for employees, and especially specialized needs. Now, if I understand it, and correct me if I'm not saying this correctly, but you, even though you've got the training and could do it, you don't give shots or do any of the medical things, but other people might be trained, and they might be sent to a person that needed someone to give shots daily to them or something.
Yes.
So again, that's part of this fit and part of this. We've got so much more to talk about on the home health care front. I hope we're giving you the kind of information that will help you if you're getting ready for hiring or needing or looking in the near future to having some decisions to make. We'll be back in just a minute and finish this conversation with Jenna Davis.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.